Welcome to Haaker Equipment Company's training on Elgin Crosswind. Model J3000 and up, including Tier 4. Operator class on component adjustment. My name is Carrie Alcott. The titles of this series of the Crosswind training are Operating Principles, Component Adjustments, Inside the Cab Controls, Water System, Power Unit and Fan, Operator Maintenance and Washdown, and Options. Serial number location. The serial number of the sweeper will help us get the proper parts and drawings to help you with any electrical or hydraulic problem. The serial number is stamped into the subframe of the sweeper body at the right front corner below the diesel fuel tank. It can also be found inside the left driver door jamb. Pickup head. There are two types of pickup heads: a standard pickup head and one with a broom in the head. The broom in the head is a small diameter broom, and the down pressure is controlled by an air regulator and an air cylinder. There is an electrical switch in the operator's console that starts the hydraulic rotation and puts the broom down in the sweeping position. This broom is behind the pressure slot of the pickup head and would only be good to break up material that is stuck to the ground. The pickup head has drag shoes on both sides that protect the bottom of the pickup head from damage by contact with the ground. Rubber curtains keep the debris under the pickup head. Pressure hose from the fan housing. The suction hose carries the debris to the hopper. The vacuum enhancer to control air pressure to the ground. Pickup hydraulic lift cylinders to raise and lower the pickup head. Pickup head stops so the head doesn't interfere with the drive shaft or the exhaust. And the pickup head counterbalance springs that take the weight of the pickup head off of the ground so the drag shoes last longer. A side view of the pickup head shows a metal plate that divides the pressure side from the suction side of the head. The pressure side is the top part of the head and the lower part is the suction side. Name of some of the components: front curtains, suction deflectors, rear curtains, pressure slot curtain. Adjusting the pickup head. The pressure slot gap is most important. If the gap becomes larger, we will lose pressure. We need pressure to lift the heavier debris off the ground. Without enough pressure, we will leave debris behind like small gravel and smear sand. By reaching under the head and putting your index finger in the slot, you can feel if the slot is getting bigger. Your index finger is about 1/2 inch. The pressure slot gap is measured between the pressure slot curtain and the metal divider in front of it. On the rear of the pickup head, you will find the studs and nuts that hold the rear curtain assembly in the head. To adjust the pressure slot gap, we need to loosen the two nuts shown and the two nuts on the other side of the head. The studs are in slotted holes and the curtain assembly will slide forward and backwards. The curtain assembly consists of curtain holders, also called bracket weldments in the parts book. The two rear curtains, and the pressure slot curtain. When loosening the 4 mounting nuts, the curtain assembly can be moved. If we remove the mounting nuts, we will be able to remove the curtain assembly from the underside of the pickup head in order to replace worn curtains without removing the head from the sweeper. The front curtains are mounted in the same manner. We can remove the nuts and remove the assembly from underneath the head to change the curtains. The drag shoes need to be adjusted so they run parallel to each other and they protect the bottom of the pickup head from dragging on the ground, causing wear. The proper clearance from the bottom of the metal divider or pressure slot to the bottom of the drag shoe is 1 5/8". If your streets have an overlay of asphalt and the drag shoe runs on the concrete of the gutter, you want to increase this dimension to 2 inches or more. Once you have achieved the 2 inches on one side, using an adjustable T-square or a tape measure, adjust the T-square or take a measurement from the top of the pickup head down to the top of the drag shoe, above the pressure slot. Now adjust the front of the shoe to the same measurement and tighten the shoe mounting bolts. Go to the opposite side and adjust the top of the shoe to the same measurements. This will square the 2 shoes to each other. If the shoes are not parallel, the front of one and the rear of the other will wear prematurely, and there could be blowout from underneath the hood. After the 2-inch drag shoe height adjustment is made, and the front and the rear of the drag shoes to the hood is equal on both sides, stops are then welded on to maintain a minimum height adjustment. We use key stock. These stops help keep the drag shoes in adjustment. When you sweep through a cross gutter or hit a speed bump too hard, you could push the drag shoe up. This causes the pickup head to come closer to the ground and cause damage. The springs are to take the weight of the pickup head off of the drag shoes. Too much pressure on the shoes will overheat the carbide and cause premature wear. Adjust all the springs up as tight as possible. Then by reducing the spring tension 1 link at a time on all the springs and running the sweeper at a mid-range, that is 2000 engine RPM and vacuum enhancer 50% open, until you get the head to just touch the ground. Starting with the weight off the ground, you know that you have minimal pressure on the drag shoes. And as you walk beside the sweeper while someone else is driving, you should be able to push on the head with your foot and the head should float. There should not be heavy scratch marks on the ground. If you have trouble getting the adjustments correct, the pressure or suction hose could be fighting you by pulling or pushing on the head. Loosen the hoses with the pickup head in the down position, then adjust the springs. We check the spring tension while we move the sweeper because the front or rear curtains could hold the head up off the ground. This will allow the curtains to roll under the head. Gutter brooms. The side broom assembly consists of the side broom weldment, side broom pivot weldment, lower link weldment, mount plate, turnbuckle for forward tilt adjustment, hydraulic motor, motor mount and is the outward tilt adjustment, side broom disc, side broom segments, raise and lower air cylinder, extend and retract air cylinder. The adjustments on the gutter broom are the outward pin stop that adjusts how far out the broom will swing, the turnbuckle to tilt the broom forward and backwards, The turnbuckle has left and right hand threaded ball joints and locking nuts. Both nuts will turn in the same direction to loosen. When tightening, don't over-tighten, just snug. The motor mount weldment will allow the gutter broom to tilt outward by an electric actuator. If that option is not on your sweeper, then two nuts behind the motor would be loosened to move the motor mount. The raise and lower cylinder is controlled when we start the broom rotation and has an air regulator to control the down pressure on the gutter broom segment wire bristles. The air regulator is going to the bottom air line only. We use air to balance the weight of the broom. The air line at the top of the cylinder is venting to a clean area. When adjusting the air regulator, think, the higher the air pressure, the higher the broom off the ground. You want the broom to just touch the ground to start and readjust as needed. Running a broom too heavy will shorten the life of the broom. Average broom life is about 2.5 weeks or 250 miles. The extend cylinder pushes the gutter broom out into the sweeping position by a separate switch. On Tier 4 units, both in and out, up and down, and rotation have been put onto one switch. When adjusting the gutter brooms, we are looking for a pattern that marks the ground when we run the gutter broom. The proper pattern will start contact at the gutter 90 degrees out from the sweeper, and will make a crescent-shaped pattern that will lift off the ground inside the path of the drag shoes. The left broom is showing a correct pattern starting at 9 o'clock and lifting off the ground at 1 o'clock. The right broom pattern is 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock. If we tilt a broom too far outward, we will lift the inside of the broom too far off the ground, and this will cause a streak past the drag shoe. A flatter broom needs less down pressure and sweeps better than a broom tilted too much. Too flat will cause the broom to wobble. Broom angles should be 5 degree forward and 5 degree outward. Pickup heads that have the optional broom in the head, the pattern mark on the ground should be no more than 2 inches. To achieve proper angles on a gutter broom, we use an angle finder. These are only a few dollars at a hardware store. Placing an angle finder parallel to the lower link is incorrect. The angle finder needs to be placed parallel to the gutter. Putting the angle finder along the direction that the broom tilts is incorrect. The angle finder needs to be placed on the gutter broom plate 90 degrees to the gutter. With the gutter broom in the furthest sweeping position, the forward tilt is more of an inward tilt, and the outward tilt is almost a forward tilt. By moving our pin stop so the broom doesn't come out as far, you can see that the forward angle is more of a forward tilt and the outward angle is more of an outward tilt. When adjusting your brooms, put the pin stop to a comfortable position you want to operate at. Too far out will limit your ability to tilt the broom down into the gutter because it would be tilting more forward, not outward. If you want your broom out as far as it'll go, that is fine. Just adjust the angles so you have 5 degree forward and 5 degree outward. Putting your angle finder parallel to the chassis for your forward angle and 90 degrees out from the chassis for your outward angle. If you choose to pin your brooms inward, this will give you more of an outward tilt to get down into the gutter, and it will give you a greater tilt before the inside of the broom lifts off the ground and streaks past the drag shoe. As before, putting your angle finder parallel to the chassis for your forward angle and 90 degrees out from the chassis for your outward angle. This concludes component adjustments. The next video in this series will be number 3, inside the cab controls.